Hey, how's it going, everybody? Shaun here from Zoobox, and today we're going to be talking about the 2003 film called Tokyo Godfathers. The film is directed by Satoshi Kon, it's written by Satoshi Kon, and the plot synopsis is, on Christmas Eve, three homeless people living on the streets of Tokyo discover a newborn baby among the trash and set out to find its parents. Oh, what a wonderful, warm, heartwarming Christmas tale. Oh my goodness. So, I am not a huge anime person, honestly. I'm pretty selective. Although I think I've come to explore the genre, the subgenre of animation a lot more, actually in the past kind of 5 or 6 years, finding a lot of things I do enjoy, but I've always really liked Satoshi Kon. I saw this back in 2003 when it came out. I was a fan of his earlier work, Perfect Blue. I liked the movie that came after this, Paprika, because he's always had kind of this interesting perspective or preoccupation in his movies, dealing with kind of the nature of identity and how you see yourself versus how society sees you, and how those kind of things and those social dynamics dictate behavior and how it can kind of change you as a person, both your internal life and your external life and all the different layers of that. And he's always explored things like that, sometimes more explicitly than others. If you watch something like Perfect Blue or Paprika, it's pretty on the nose. This one is a little unique in the sense that it doesn't focus on one character. Most of his movies have like a central main character, and they are used as both the audience avatar, but also as the kind of the archetypal presence of the story and the person going through all like trauma and whatnot to make these observations, make these discoveries about human nature. In this one, it splits it up, and there's this homeless, basically it's kind of like a pseudo family. There's like the gruff kind of boozing dad. There's the maternal figure who ends up, you find out, is a trans woman. And there's this little girl who's run away from home. Like it says in the description, they find a baby and they set out in Tokyo to try to find the parents of the baby. Because they just kind of assume that, like, I bet you these people might regret what has happened here. This might not be, maybe, you know, we should make this right somehow, or we should at least take it to the police station. Like, there's all these different layers of things that happen in the story, kind of leading up to a fairly dramatic climax. It's more lighthearted than a lot of his stuff, except for maybe Millennium Actress, which is a movie from 2001. It's the movie he made right before this, and it's no less impactful though. You know, I think most people probably know him largely from Perfect Blue, or maybe even Paprika, because those are the ones that are kind of like really in your face, they're kind of aggressive movies. And this one, he's able to kind of go into the same territory, but just in a way that's more, I think, accessible, maybe even more humane. All the characters in the story are incredibly like relatable for one reason or another. These are not like perfect people, and it kind of reminds you that everybody has a story, and everybody has sets of circumstances that sometimes get away from them, and they can't find control in their lives. And also it goes back to this whole thing, this idea of perception. You know, how do people perceive your actions? And do you make assumptions about their perceptions? And then how do you act based on those assumptions, rather than just kind of going to try to figure it out yourself, or going to asking them explicitly how they feel about something you've done. So it's kind of there's a lot of tragedy in the characters, a lot of pathos. It's one of the more, like, I don't know how to put it, like, heartwarming and humane movies I've watched in a while, actually. And I think it's probably, now that I've seen this again, I would say it's maybe his best movie, his most well-rounded, most clear, most like coherent all together at the end. It doesn't feel like there's anything missing from the story. Maybe second to Perfect Blue might be the other one that I think is like maybe like really perfectly executed. But this is a really pleasant surprise for me, just coming back to it. I didn't really know what to expect from it. You know, the reason I bought it is because I'm weird and I own all of his other movies. And I saw this at the store and it was like $15, and I was like, oh, well, I got all the other ones. Might as well get Tokyo Godfathers. And I sat on my shelf for a while. It just kind of sat there collecting dust over the past few months. And I finally got around to it the other day. And I was like so happy that I did. Just what I needed. The little injection of like optimism into my life, optimism through darkness. That's what I liked about it so much, is that a lot of these characters in the story have kind of completely hit rock bottom, and they find purpose in this baby, trying to find this baby's parents. And it makes them kind of reassess their entire existence, because they've just lived with no purpose and kind of unmoored from society for so long, you know? And that's another part of the story. It kind of gets into a little bit of the class layers of like a big city, and what people acknowledge and don't acknowledge, and how you can kind of operate almost as a ghost when you're at this level of society. So there's a lot of interesting things in the movie, and it's not explicit. It doesn't beat you over the head. It just kind of, it's in there. It's in the subtext. You get what's going on, and it's not precious about it. It's not like saccharine, which I appreciated. It just felt natural. The script is really, really great, and that's bolstered by the fantastic, incredible animation. I mean, it is a gorgeous looking movie. It looks a lot like, I think it's probably a lot of the same people that were involved in Millennium Actress, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that, but that also is a gorgeous movie. It kind of has the same animation style as that, and it's got some CGI stuff into it. It's like when animes were kind of flirting with that stuff, but it really, really pulls it off. It was never distracting. I never felt pulled out of the movie at all. It's just gorgeous. It's just the level of detail in Tokyo. I don't know how accurate it is to the actual city, but I would imagine this is a pretty good representation of the city. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I'm just not a huge anime person, but every once in a while you get something like this, and it just shows you that there's just so much more to just film in general, and the types of movies that are out there. And don't dismiss something because you just assume that you don't like anime or you don't like cartoons or whatever. There's a lot of good stuff in those genres and those disciplines, you know? There's a lot of good animated stuff out there. And what I like about like animation or anime is that it's obviously gets oversaturated, and it's usually taken over by the concept that it's all like cyberpunk and fantasy stuff and silly cartoons about school. But there's a lot of just straight kind of adult dramas that are actually really good. Studio Ghibli has a bunch of that stuff. I mean, what the hell? Grave of the Fireflies is one of them that I really like. Even like Howl's Moving Castle, while it has fantasy elements, it just feels kind of like a good drama. And Tokyo Godfathers is no different. It is definitely worth your time. I'm really happy that I revisited it as an older person. I feel like I got actually out of it what I should have got out of it, you know? When I was a teenager and I saw this, I guarantee you a lot of this went over my head. You have to have a little mileage on the car before you can understand some of the plights and the dilemmas and the feelings of these characters. That goes back to just how great the script is. It's not heavy-handed, in my opinion, but it feels all really naturalistic in the sequence of events. Nothing ever feels super contrived. I mean, I guess you can make an argument for stuff that happens in the third act a little bit, but I would say that overall, like, it just feels really naturalistic. It really builds. It really invests you in these people. And the beautiful visuals just help the ride along, you know, because it is kind of just a character piece about these three people at a really weird time in their lives. And it isn't flashy in that way. You know, it's not like overly dramatic. And yeah, and it's supported by just some great voice acting. I listened to some of the Japanese stuff. I listened to the dub. The dub is actually really good. And the Japanese voice acting is great as well. And it really makes the movie come to life, you know? Really worked for me. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you'd like to know more about Zoobox, bunch of links in the description for Facebook, for Instagram, for my personal Twitter. Also, if you would like to make a recommendation for one of these daily videos, or for something for Zoobox Goes to the Movies, or even a topic to talk about on the regular show, Zoobox, leave it in the comments and we'll put it on the list. All right, you have a great one.